Hi, I'm Rochelle, and this is my co-host Kate, and together we are Runversation, a conversational-paced podcast for your easy-paced running journey. And we're here to chat about all things running, community, and everything in between. This episode is brought to you by our friends at Tour New Vision, the sunglasses made for runners who go the distance. Hello, Kate.
Hi, Rochelle.
I have something that I need to tell you.
Tell me.
It's what I saw on my run. However, I just can't wait to share it, so I just need to dive straight in.
Go. Fill me in. I'm on the edge of my seat.
I was going for a midweek long run last Wednesday, and I saw in the distance a lady walking, and she had a rather large backpack on. And I was like, oh, maybe she's got one of those like cat backpacks with like a cat inside or something. Anyway, as I got closer, I couldn't see any cat and I couldn't see anything. It was just a clear backpack. And then I got closer and there was two Weeros in her backpack sitting on like, or perched on like a stick inside. And I was thinking, it's a rather warm day. So it'd be like a bit of
Weeros as in birds?
Yes, two birds.
No.
And I was like, it'd be like a sauna in this backpack and she'd end up with cooked birds. But yeah, she was just out taking her birds for a walk.
She was taking her birds for a walk in a backpack.
Yeah, and this is like one time that I didn't actually run with my phone because I didn't charge my AirPods. So I was like, ugh, whatever. I couldn't even take a photo.
Oh my gosh, I'm Googling this right now. Well, it doesn't surprise me you can get one on Temu or Shein. This is called a bird traveler backpack. But yeah, these don't look breathable. It
was warm. And I was like, God, these birds are going to be like cooking in there.
No way. Bird carrier. Stop. What? Surely that can't be coming. Do you think she took the birds from home, obviously, and put them in the backpack, took them for a walk?
Yes. Oh, no, they were for sure her pets.
Rochelle, was this you? Because I, in the last few podcasts, I did hear you say you're going to get into birds. So was it you?
Look, I am all for birds, but I don't know. I've had birds as like a kid for pets, and I'm not sure as an adult I would enjoy birds like that. But yeah, no, these birds. And I definitely wouldn't take my birds for a walk. Like,
wow. Oh my gosh. Have a guess how much these backpacks cost on petshopdirect.com.
Oh, I'm going to say like $400.
Yes, exactly. $420.
The price is right.
Oh my goodness. Wow. Okay, I understand why you had to go and let that one out of your system because that's interesting.
I just couldn't even hold it in. I've been hanging on to that story to tell you.
Just dying to share it. I love it. Well, mine's very anticlimactic now because I did the point-to-point half from Busselton to Dunsborough, which was awesome, the handicap race. And then when we finished, walked down the Dunsborough Yacht Club, like that's where the race finished, walked down through the trail, and as you come out to the beach, it was just turquoise. Like the water was just like Seychelles, like maybe even more blue. The only thing that's missing, right, this is the difference people go, but WA is the best beaches. I'm like, it does, but there's no like palm trees or lush green, obviously. We're in Australia. So it feels rugged, but that is so beautiful. And the water, oh my goodness, I just stood there and I was like, yes, this is why I live here. This is just the best. It was so nice. So
I did see that you posted a photo with a friend, and was that after the event?
Yeah. We went down because it got hot. And I know Frio Half was on the weekend as well, and I felt like it was the first kind of quite warm day of this part of the year, and we didn't start till 7:30. So you're finishing like 9, just after 9. It's like this is getting a little bit spicy now.
Yeah, especially towards that back end, and you'd be like itching for a drink because you'd be so dehydrated.
Yes, because this run was so cool. So it's run by the local club here, and the aid station was one of the ladies that I know, and it might have been her partner or someone else, and they just drove their car to a couple of spots, opened up the boot, had bottles of water, waited for the last person to go through, drove to a next spot and went. But I was like, didn't get enough water. It got real hot, and then I just ended up tipping a lot of the water in my head, and I was like, I could really do with drinking that.
That sounds like a really fun, like, casual event though. And the fact that they took the time to, like, drive to each spot and, like, didn't set up anything, like, that is just a wonderful event.
It was very cool. And you know what? I actually am going to feel really bad now because this is what I should have said I saw on my run, because Nick also did the same, because he had to drive from Busselton to Dunsborough to, like, pick me up, and he took the boys. So he had Leo and Kai, my 3 and 4-year-old, in the back of the car, and he stopped at least 5 points along the run, got them out of the car. They stood on the side of the road and were like high-fiving me and everything, because there's obviously no crowd, like not one single person spectating. But Nick and the boys just being at those points was like so nice.
Yeah.
And then, except for, I realized the biggest stress as a mum when you run, okay, not a tummy ache, not clothing choices, not cramping, not pacing, it's missing your child's high five. I went to give them a high five and got Leo, missed Kai. And as I ran off, I hear Kai just go, Mum didn't give me a high five. And I was like,
and then for the next however long you had to think of that.
I was thinking about it. And then I slowed down on the next one and I got both my hands and I was like, slap, 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 and I made sure. And then Nick showed me a video after, and then Leo is crying because I've hit his hand. And I'm like, but that is a high five.
You never know what's going on inside their little brains.
No. So I figured the most stressful thing about racing is none of this important stuff. It's like, did you give your kid the high five? Did you hit them too hard? All these things.
Yeah. Oh, bless her. At least you had them out on the course of support. That's nice.
It was so lovely. It was really nice. So, and they came out on the beach after, which was great. But I know you had a lot of your athletes race, and you raced on the weekend, and this is going to kind of lead into our topic today, right?
Yeah, the first 20 minutes after race. As a coach, I don't normally think too much about what happens immediately after a race, but something was really noticeable to me on the weekend, and it was just everybody's reactions to the different scenarios that occurred. And I was like, wow, this is just going right into that mindset of, like, you know, all the emotions of what runners go through. So I was like, this would be a really great topic, because you finish and it's chaos, right? And then you're buzzing, your heart rate's up, you're emotional, and then you can't decide if you're proud of what you've done or if you're, like, super disappointed. So there's a whole flood of thoughts, and I found people were replaying every kilometre to me, every moment that they slowed down, like every split that they hit. And often, that, like, as a runner, I know I'm very quick to judge myself as soon as I'm finished. And you can either go from a super big high or you can be really deflated. So, I just want to talk about, like, the come down, like the stresses of racing, the adrenaline that you might have felt, but just, like, those mental barriers. So I always say to my athletes, like, don't judge what's happened within the first sort of, like, 20 minutes. Just go out, do your cool down, have a chat, grab a drink, have a piece of fruit if they're offering it, and then we'll discuss it a little bit later, because that first 20-minute window is just not the right time. So I want to ask you, how did you feel the first 20 minutes after your race on the weekend? Like, was there something noticeable to you?
This is really interesting, because I took the weekend as... So I messaged Nick Bester, who was on the pod a little while ago. So he's doing my run coaching, because I tell people I don't listen to my Nick, because he's with us. So I'm like, Neg, no. So Nick Bester's doing my run coaching. And I messaged him earlier in the week last week, and Kai, my little one, had hit his head in the corner of the kitchen bench. We just missed, the house. We had all these things going on. I was getting terrible sleep, and I said to him, I don't think I'm, like, in a good space to just go really hard. And he said, nah, cool, let's not. Like, it's not the goal anyway. Let's just have a nice solid session and a hit out. So I was like, okay, cool. So we really readjusted the plan just to have a solid day. So I knew that. I went into the race and I executed that perfectly. Okay. Nice. And then I finished and I was disappointed straight away, because it wasn't anywhere near a PB and it was slower and I overheated. So all I fixated on was like, I got hot, like it's not even that hot, and I got hot. And then obviously it wasn't a PB. It was never meant to be a PB. We weren't going for a
No.
PB. I knew that before I went in. It wasn't going to be a PB. But I straight away when I finished was like, huh. And then, yeah, that was my initial 20 minutes. And then obviously completely different now. I've had the chance to actually put my brain back in my head. But
Yeah.
yeah, it is so interesting those 20 minutes after. And yeah, I think it was mainly also because I was hot, I had associated that with, well, you're hot, so it must have been really hard. And it's like, no, I was just warm. Like, you know,
Yeah.
and yeah, I'd still run 21K in the warm and I'd still put in a solid day. I wasn't going to finish feeling fresh as a daisy.
Maybe, yeah.
But yeah, I was just really judgy on it, even though I'd done exactly what I was meant to do.
Yeah.
What about you?
It's
Because you
weird.
raced
Yeah.
on the weekend, hey?
So 2019, Rochelle's fitness popped into her head for the first 2 or 3 Ks of the event. And I shortly realized that I was not in the same form as I was 6 years ago. So I was absolutely hating the entire experience for the first 5Ks. I got to the 5K point and I thought I could just stop. But then I was like, no, we're not going to DNF, Rochelle. We're going to have a purpose for this race. So I was out on the course and I was trying to talk to myself as if I would talk to either like my best friend or an athlete or someone. So I gave myself a purpose and I had my phone in my back pocket. So my purpose was to, every time I saw one of my clients, slow down and take a video of them running, just so that they had that little bit of a memory to look back on after the event. And also people love like posting like social stuff. So I was like, cool, I'm going to be a
I need to do
content
my
creator.
race.
I know, right? So I was creating content for my clients out on the course because, yeah, I needed a purpose to run and I was hating the event. So I made it fun. So I was, when I finished, not disappointed because I had thought about everybody else.
Yeah.
And I wasn't there to race myself. Like
Mm.
my run's going to be in Singapore in a few weeks' time. So my goal was to be there for my athletes originally. So I needed to like take a step back and rethink about that whilst I was out on the course.
Yeah.
So yeah, I did that. But one thing that I did notice when I finished is I had a couple of runners in the 5Ks and their purpose was to help each other out on course for one of them to like run a PB. So my youngest athlete, Dane, he had been training for this event for about 6 months, I'm going to say, maybe just a little bit less than that. He is notoriously known for like being an ultra marathon runner, like doing all the trail events, etc. And so we're just going to take a step back with him now and focus on being competitive within his age group. So goal was to run sub 17 and be in the top 3 for under 16. So tick, tick. So he finished and he was just like on top of the like earth, you know, he was cloud 9, you know, so happy, came straight. I just finished. I couldn't even breathe when I finished. I was that buggered. Came straight up to me, told me how he went. Like he was so excited. Had other clients do the 10K, which was a little bit more of a harder and technical course because there was lots of pin turns. The wind direction was a lot stronger heading out in certain areas. And they finished and there was a lot of negativity around it. One, you know, the wind, but then the pin turns and then the start of the race, etc. So it was really interesting seeing like from a winner's point of view, their mindset to somebody who had a negative race and the negativity. I almost feel like we need to stop and refocus and think, right, I've had a really bad race, but this person over here, they've had a fantastic time. And this person over there, they help that person do that. Let's just rethink about supporting one another as a community rather than bringing everybody down to the same level that you're at. So, going for a run as a group afterwards and just having a bit of a chat was something that worked really well for the team. And it was interesting. I've never noticed it before, but I was really focused in on like all of what was going on.
what's going on. And it's so hard because those extremes are so extreme. I know, like, I'm sure we've all experienced them. When you just nail it, you're on cloud nine. It's like almost like out of body. You're like, I did it. The confidence skyrockets. You just feel so good. And you're on that high for a long time. Almost like
Yeah.
high until you then have another bad race. And then you're like,
Yeah.
oh, blah, blah, blah. But and you can't think of this in the first 20 minutes after a race.
No.
I am a firm believer in you learn more from your failures than your successes. And I have a prime example of like your athletes who didn't do as well as they wanted to, say on the weekend, was me with Abu Dhabi. Like I went into that first marathon, I wanted to do a sub 3:10, and I was so certain I was going to do it. I was certain I was going to do it until 35K, and then
Yeah.
I didn't do it. And so I crossed the line, and I remember because Nick wasn't having a day. So he actually waited for me, and I saw him at like, I think it might have been 36K or something, and he knew I was off target. So then it quickly changed to a 3:13, which would be a New York qualifier.
Yeah.
And I still missed that. So he was going, you can still do New York, you still do New York. So I was like trying to hang on there, and I just didn't do it. And I crossed the line, and the first thing I said to him, I turned around, I said, I don't get it. I tried so hard. I tried so hard, and I was like, and I just don't understand. I tried everything and it wasn't enough. And that was the worst feeling. Was I knew I did everything I could have. And that's what I thought at the time. Now upon reflection, I'm like, well, something didn't go well. What was it? And that's where I've learned the most from, right?
Yeah.
And at the time, I really was like, I don't understand. Like and it just simply felt like I wasn't good enough. I'd put in 6 months more of all this hard work, and I was so certain I was going to do it. I had written Peppa Pig World on my hand because I wanted to go to London to take Kai to Peppa Pig World and do the marathon. And I just looked at it and I thought, I've let Kai down, and like all these feelings, and I was just so devastated, and I was really down. And then after, I was like, I won my age group and I came 10th female overall, and I'm upset. My first marathon. So then later I was like, okay, it was because I'd set this overly ambitious goal and I'd got fixated on it. And I think that's what's important, is you can't get fixated on it, because I had a great training block lead up into it. I really had a good race for my first marathon. Yeah. Like I said, I've learned a lot now. I think that I just bunked from 35K because I didn't take in enough carbs. So that was my biggest thing that I learned from that race. And had I not done that then and thought I was God's gift of running, I would go into my next one and be like, well, hello, I'd rather learn it then, right?
Yeah.
And but it was just like I was in that negative, and then because Nick didn't have a good race and we knew no one else in Abu Dhabi, we were both a little bit kind of Debbie Downers about it. But then it was really good because we like just went out for dinner, and I think we both got over it really well, like the same day, really. And we're like, well, you know, it just was what it was. But if you talk to me in the first 20 minutes after, I was just sad. I was just really like, oh, I don't understand. Like, I'm just simply not good enough. And it was that's how I felt. And I was like, and it wasn't fun at the end. And I was like, just hurt. I still wasn't good enough.
Yeah. And, you know, that is a very normal thing. But you said at the start there, you said to Nick, you don't understand because you gave it everything that you had. And you've just got to remember in that moment, like, you gave it everything you had. You tried. Like, if you don't try, then you can't fail.
Exactly. And that was it. And so because I wanted to run the sub 3:10 to qualify for London this year, right? We still ended up going to London and we watched the marathon, and I thought that would be like, oh, kick in the gut. But I watched it so happily, and I said to Nick when we were watching London, I said, I can sit here happily watch it. Yes, of course I have FOMO, but I said to him, I did everything I could in December before the applications closed to run a sub 3:10, and I hand on heart did everything I could. So I was perfectly at peace with it. I was like, that's all I could have done. And you can't
all you can do is try
more than that. Exactly. I like literally couldn't have done any more. I've learned, so I'll try on the next one to improve what it didn't go well. But that was it, you know, and really, like, it was pretty good for a first marathon. So who cares? Like,
absolutely. I think you should be very proud of yourself.
Yeah, so it's so interesting because it took me, and I didn't look at my Garmin file for months. So when you say you go over every K split, I couldn't bring myself to go and actually even have a proper analysis of what went wrong. I knew in my head really what went wrong.
Yeah.
But I didn't actually look at the file and go, where was that breaking point? What was my issue? It took me a long time to actually be like, okay,
Yeah.
critically evaluate, all because I was still a little bit raw about it. But once I done that, I was like, meh, it's fine.
It is what it is, and you can't change it once you cross the line. But yeah,
Exactly.
it was just so apparent. Like everybody that crossed the line,
Mm.
the different emotions and the different phases that everybody went through. We had Stevie, one of our coaches out there. She was doing a half marathon, and she was really proud of her efforts, and she got a PB. But she was a real quiet achiever. She came back, she analyzed it herself, like she didn't externally blurt it out.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, it was really, really interesting. So
Mm.
that first 20 minutes, it's just kind of like you got to remember you've had either a really great race,
Yeah.
be mindful that somebody else has had a horrible race and you
Yeah.
don't want to, you know, push them down anymore. But then also in the opposite. So if you've had a bad race and somebody that you're training with has had a really good race, just think that 20 minutes,
Yeah. Well, you just
internalize it.
yes, or I think if you can't internalize it, because I think that's a really hard thing to do, I
Mm,
think you need to, well, I would definitely internalize it if I was around someone, but if you can't, I think you just need to say to that person who's had a stellar race, like, I am so happy for you. Ignore me
yeah.
for the next 20 minutes. I had a doozy. Like, I had
Yeah.
a real shooter of a day. I'm just going to go. I'm super happy for you. Please don't take this the wrong way. I just got to go and just be my little saddo and I'll come back and I'll be fine. And then go and do what you
Exactly.
need to do. Because some people can't do that, especially if it's like a big thing on the line or you just train so hard or if you've overcome an injury or just something like that. Sometimes it's really hard to not do that. So I think just being like, I don't want to drag everyone down. Just, I'm not being rude, but I just got to go cry behind that tree.
Yeah. Oh, God.
Oh, do you know what? That was kind of me and my friend Michaela down here last week. We were doing a run interval session and it just wasn't my day. Like I just
Yeah.
wasn't on. I just wasn't on. And it was pouring with rain. And she said, the good news is the rain will hide your tears. And I was like, awesome. I wasn't actually crying,
Positive.
but she's like, you can. Like, it doesn't matter. I won't see.
It's great. It's great when you can like make light of a horrible situation. But if every run that you did was exactly how it was supposed to be, nothing would ever feel
Yeah,
like nothing would ever feel like success
that
because
is
they're
fine.
always on the same line. So you
Mm,
have to have successful days, you have to have mediocre days, and you have to have those really shitty bad days, which I
yes,
experienced on the weekend.
yes.
I
So
just
I want to ask you something that's going to put you on the spot, Rochelle,
mm,
because this is not a part of the plan of what we were going to talk about. But when you said, um, and this would help me because, like I said, I didn't PB on the weekend, nor was I expecting to, but it's still hard to not. What, when you said, I'm not the 2019 runner anymore, okay, the runner that you were from 2019. So when you go and you still run hard and you still put in, the same relative effort and the time isn't what you got before, how do you process that? Is it something you've struggled with or are you okay with it? Or like, what's your strategy? That's a real put you on the spot. Sorry.
yeah. As time's gone on, I have learnt to deal with it a lot better. I have struggled in the beginning. So when I came back from having chronic fatigue, I was like, right, I was here, but why can't I be here now? And it took me a moment to realize that my body was like giving signals that I just can't do this anymore. So
Mhm.
I had to kind of work through that myself. And then I had my son and COVID happened and everything like that. And that first, I'm going to say 6 months after having Dean, my training was very, how can I say it, intense.
Mhm.
I was obsessive about it. I was thinking all these other athletes that I've seen have had babies and they've run hard and they've come back. And I wanted to do that too. but I found it really hard. So my first race back after having Dean was the run in Melbourne for kids. So it's called Run for Kids. It's a charity run, and it's a really weird like distance. It's 14 Ks. And I trained my absolute butt off for that without following a coach's program. I just trained, just ran on my treadmill, just did my thing. And that was my most successful run. And I haven't had the same success since.
Why do you think that is?
When I was training myself and I knew that I had just come back from having like Dean, there was no pressure to perform at my absolute best.
Mm-hmm.
But once I had achieved like a really good time and I came fourth in that race, my mindset was set with, right, I've done it. I've got to do it again. And
so
then
you might have been better off failing in that race for your long term. You might have been better off doing a me, not nailing it the first time. And
so now, like that was almost, 3 years ago now. So that's in the back of my mind. Now that like I'm running, I've kind of got the maturity to understand, right, it takes a lot of work to get back. I don't have the support system around me like some of these elite runners do have. And I just have to accept it for what it is. So when I was running on the weekend and I was like, oh, like, this is really hard. Like, why can't I run at 350 pace? Is because I haven't been able to train at that level.
Yeah.
So now that I've known what happened there, when I go to Singapore in a few weeks' time, I've actually like mentally written notes down and I'm going to follow a bit more of a process.
Oh, this is really exciting. Can I get some exclusive insights into the process? Because I feel like this is so relatable and I feel like you should talk about this more because this is, I'm sure, so many people will relate to it. And I think that you do put a lot of pressure on yourself to get back to that because you are such an elite runner. And it's, I think you deserve, just first of all, the biggest kudos for still going out there and racing. Because, well, I mean, you love it for one, so good on you. But it's really hard when you have that internal, and what might feel like external pressure as well, to still go out there and race and not hit what you were before and be okay with it, because that is really hard to do. And like you said, I think comparison is the thief of joy, and you've been around and seen all these other women come back after having a baby and go, like, I've even heard people say, oh, having a baby is a superpower. I'm like, is it?
I don't know.
What baby did you have?
Yeah. Which hospital did you go to?
Tell me, what did they give you? Because I just got a baby. What did you get? Oh, I've had it twice and it getting better.
I ain't got no superpower.
Yeah, what? But yeah, what is your, can I ask you what your kind of plan or process is, just a little bit of insights. You don't have to tell me, exactly to a T, but what are the things that you're going to change going into Singapore? Because you're doing the marathon, right?
No, I'm only doing the 10Ks.
Ah, cool. Okay, cool.
Yes.
All right. Fill me in on the process and everything that you're going to apply to this. And what could us listeners do what can we learn from this?
Yeah. So building into Singapore, I did have the mindset that I wanted to run the marathon, but I, at the very last minute, decided, no, I'm going to run the 10Ks because I didn't want to fall back into the trap of chronic fatigue like what I did get after Doha. So Doha and Singapore are both run in very similar conditions. One is more humid than the other, but still, like, your body needs to be able to adapt and be able to perform and kind of just run properly. So prior to Doha, I never sweat when I ran. Since Doha, I sweat. I even sweat now. Like, I'm sitting here and I'm sweaty Betty. So a switch was flicked for me. So, and then obviously that spiraled into other things. But for Singapore, I thought, right, I want to go there and I still want to enjoy the experience. So what are things that I can do to put in place so that whilst it's going to be hard and it's going to be running really tough conditions, I'm going to be able to somewhat enjoy the process. So one of those things has been like going and having saunas.
Yep.
And not every single day, but like regularly enough so that my body understands how to regulate in the heat. because Australian heat is very different to Singaporean heat.
Mm.
So just getting my body used to regulating in a more humid condition and doing those saunas after I've been for a run. So
Yeah.
I'm already at a level where I'm dehydrated and I'm tired and fatigued, and that's just adding that little bit of extra stress on the body, but not too much that I, fall backwards. And another goal is just taking back a step in terms of the threshold or tempos that I'm running at.
Okay.
So I'm not going to go to Singapore and run probably a sub 40-minute 10K. The
Mhm.
conditions are just hard, and looking at the results like over the last few years, the timing of the winners is even quite high. Like they're in the high 37s, 38s for the women. So it's
Wow.
not going to be a really fast race. So just getting my mind set in that sort of rhythm now of, okay, it's not a fast race. I don't need to run fast. I just need to do what I can to finish.
Yeah.
Um, and I think that's where I'm at. Like, I know I'm not going to start on the front of the start line. Like, I don't want to put myself in a position where I'm forced to run fast for that first kilometer,
Mhm.
because a lot of races that happens. And that was an example on a weekend. I stood probably 5 or 6 people back, and I even got swallowed up. And the first 200 meters, I was sitting back with like the 1:30 pacer for the half marathon. Like I wasn't wanting to run fast, but I put myself in a position where I was going to run fast because that's what I was used to. So I
Yeah.
just need to like rethink about how I position myself on a start line. So that's something else that I've thought about. And then just along the way, making sure I'm staying hydrated and drinking water at every drink stop, which I'm pretty sure they're quite regularly over there. So
Yeah.
that's a bit of like the process that I'm going to take. And the result will speak for itself when it comes.
That sounds really, really good. So are you going into this now with just the mentality of you just want to enjoy it? Like, well, and when I say enjoy it, no, you're probably not going to be like, I say, and this is probably a little bit harsh, but like pooping out rainbows. Like that's probably not going to be the biggest thing that you're going to be doing that all the time.
No.
But are you just aiming to be like, I had a good solid race. I didn't hate it. I hit my expectations. Like, is that your kind of thought on this
Yeah.
now? So you've gone time out the window. Let's just go and enjoy this again.
Yeah. Like I want to run to my best ability.
Yep.
And I don't want to finish feeling like I couldn't have gone any further. I want to finish feeling like if I had to run another kilometer or if I had to run another 500 meters, I could.
Cool.
I don't want to finish completely gassed, because I think that's where a lot of negativity in that first 20-minute window also comes from as well. When you finish absolutely gassed and you
Mm,
haven't hit what you think you can hit, it's
yeah.
a lot worse than what if you just finish happily. And that was a goal that I set Dane on the weekend too. We had previously done some like time trials leading up to it. And for an example, one of the time trials he'd finished and he was just like spitting and like couldn't breathe and he was on the floor. And I said to him before this race, I don't want you to finish like you did this time, like, 6 months ago or whatever it was.
Mm,
I want you to finish feeling like you've executed your goal. And if you had to run another kilometer or 500 meters, you could. And
good.
that's exactly what happened. So I'm going to take the example I gave to him along with me and like, yeah, use that as my mantra.
That's good. This sounds very nice and it sounds very refreshing. And I'm really excited to like follow along and see how it goes. And I'm sure obviously in our episode then that might be our second last one before Christmas.
Yeah,
Like that'll be really, really exciting to see how you go there. And I just can't wait to hear about Singapore as well, because who doesn't
I
love
know.
Singapore?
I know. I'm excited. So I'm going over there. There's quite a few West Aussies going over, but I'm going over there with Tour New Vision, and Matt's running the marathon, and Carlos is also doing the 10 kilometers as well. So yeah, like just a group of us from Tour New Vision heading over there, doing our thing. But this time I don't have to work at the expo, which is nice.
That's very nice. You can do a little bit of shopping instead.
Exactly, exactly. Have a bit of a holiday. Um,
Absolutely. You got to have a Luxor for me. It's like my favorite thing.
Nice. I think, yeah, I think we've talked about mindset enough. Do you? This episode is proudly supported by 2NU Vision, the sunglasses made for runners who go the distance, and our choice of sunglasses for our easy pace runs and when we lace up on race day. Check them out at 2nu.vision and see running differently.
Yes, I wanted to nerd out on what I said I was going last week. I mean, out of time. So I'm gonna, totally nerd out a little bit on what I call the forgotten half of the core. So yes, I feel like runners often go, I have a weak core, and they think of their core and go, my abs. First of all, a lot of runners go, I can't see them. And I'm like, don't worry.
People's mindset is you have to see your abs to say that you've got them, but that's not true.
No, everybody has abdominal muscles. It's just whether it's covered with a layer of, well, everyone's is also covered with a layer of fat. It's just how much of that there is or not. And also, women have a higher body fat percentage. Like, it's actually very, very hard to have a six-pack as a woman. So don't, anyone listening, if you can't see your abdominal muscles, don't worry about it. It's cool. But I'm going to talk about the bit that we don't see, which is our backs, okay? Which, by the way, in fact, if I ever asked Nick what's his favorite feature he likes about me, he says, my back. And I'm like, what? That is the weirdest response
That
ever.
is so bizarre.
It's real weird, but I'm like, okay, that was very muscly. I'm like, okay then, because I do a lot of back work. But so I'm mainly talking about our back extensors, which are the muscles so there is what we call erector spinae, which is muscles that run along either side of our spine, okay? And they do what we call back extension. So they look after us and keep us upright when we run. They pre-activate before our foot hits the ground, and they stabilize our trunk when we're running. So they are super duper important. And the reason that I'm focusing on these rather than the abdominals is because during running, we work these muscles so much. Like, I'm talking a lot. So there was a study done that looked at the activation of this erector spinae muscle in particular, the lumbosacral, which is like the lower back part of it. And if you can imagine laying on a bench, okay, and you're laying on the bench up until your hips. So the top half of you from like your hips up is hanging off the bench, okay? Now imagine though you're having to hold yourself up in a nice straight line with no support underneath from your hips up, okay? Does that make sense?
Yes, no, it does make a lot of sense.
Thank you. Imagine doing that for 3 minutes, okay? How much work your back is doing. But interestingly, research shows that our back works harder running at 70% of our velocity at VO2 max. So not even that hard of an effort. It works harder running than doing that.
That explains why I have a dull backache at the end of the day after a really big, hard run.
Yes, and people always focus on abs, and I'm like, forget about your abs. Because, for example, when you then compare this to our external obliques, okay, on the front of us, compared to running during curl-ups, they had way less activation during running compared to curl-ups. So if you're like comparing those, it's your erector spinae that works so much, and you want to keep that nice upright posture, because when we have an excessive forward lean or too much, that decreases our running economy, okay, by up to 8%. So you need your erector spinae to work, but if it's not strong enough, then you end up with backaches.
Duh.
That
makes so much sense.
And you're running slower. Not good.
Now I know what I need to do to hit my goals.
Well, I'm going to tell you what to do, okay? Because you know me, the answer to everything is strength training. Well, obviously, you're going to run more, okay, because that is going to obviously help your body get accustomed to it. So, like, goes without saying, of course, you want to run more. But I have 3 exercises, which actually, Rochelle, we could put these on the Runversation Instagram, okay, so people can have a look and they can save them. Yeah. Please don't screenshot, please save, because that helps us more. So
maybe he wants like to screenshot a video of us like in an awkward position.
Well, I was talking to one of the runners in our club this morning. She's like, I screenshot all your exercises. I'm like, no, girl, press that save button. Don't you go screenshotting me. Anyway, sorry, I digress, everybody. Okay, so one of the first exercises that we can do now, I would almost guarantee that all of our listeners right now would have done a plank at some point in their life. Okay. Take it and flip it. All right. So literally you're doing a reverse plank. So when you normally do a plank, you're on like your elbows, right? And your
Yeah.
forearms are on the ground, and then you're on your toes and you're lifting a plank position. Okay.
Yes.
Now, if you're in that position, get up, put your hands behind you, put your hands on the ground, your heels into the ground, and hold a reverse plank position. That
Oh,
works your back more than a normal
no.
plank.
That
So
okay. Is
there's
that like
greater
a
muscle
bridge?
a reverse plank. So this has greater activation of your erector spinae muscles than a normal plank.
Okay, I'm gonna try this. It sounds really awkward, but I'll give it a go.
Yeah. I'll put a picture up so people can actually envision this. But you're like with your back, your hands are on the ground, your heels are on the ground, and the rest of you's off the ground.
Straight arms or
Straight
bent
arms.
elbows?
Straight arms. So
Okay.
that's a point of difference.
I
Yes.
feel like kind of like I'm flying, but I'm not.
Yes, you won't feel like because it's quite hard. And then we make it runner specific, right? So you're in this reverse plank position. You're then going to put a band around your feet and you can do some hip flexions while you're doing it. Because then you do get your abdominals as well, your hip flexors and your back, because I'm sadistic. And anytime that any runner says they're going to do core strength training, I'm like, cool, we're going to work your back as well. We have to make it a little bit runner specific. Okay.
So I want to see you demonstrate that to me, and then I'm going to demonstrate what I look like back to you.
Do you know what? Before you go look at these videos, you have to record what you think they are based on this explanation.
Oh, absolutely, I will. That sounds like a really fantastic challenge.
But these are hard. These reverse planks are horrible, but they're awesome and they're body weight and band, so you can do them at home. So if you were to do, say, 3 sets of 8 reps of those hip flexions on each side in your reverse plank position, 3 sets of those 3 times a week, you'll be improving your back strength and your hip flexor strength and some abdominal strength as well. So like,
That's awesome.
yeah. Runner's tip 101. The other one that I really like that I have to tie in with some glute strength as well, because we're all about time efficiency here for us busy runners. So I call these Supermans. Okay. So you are literally laying on your tummy, as you can envision. You're going to squeeze through your glutes, lift your feet up off the ground, but your hands are out, and you're also going to lift your arms up off the ground because that also gets your erector spinae. But wait, there's more. As if I would be that nice and just let you do a banded Superman. Okay. The band is now around your ankles.
Yeah.
And you are pulsing your feet out into the band, applying pressure, and back in. Out into the band and back in. So then you're working your hip abductors. Okay.
You look like a dying frog.
That is exactly what you look like. Yes. That is it. It's great. So that is my other like really good at-home one that anybody can do. But then, of course, if you really want to make meaningful changes, doing stuff like Romanian deadlifts or rack pulls or good mornings in the gym are like your totally non-negotiables. So if anyone does get that back pain, and I am one of these people on the back end of a run, because I am quite an upright runner, I do really notice my back does get sore. So I just do a whole heap of gym stuff to address it. It's got better. Like it is my non-negotiable at the moment, especially with Boston, with hills and stuff as well.
Yeah.
I'm really trying to focus on having that back strength there. So including some like heavier stuff is also what will make some meaningful changes. So I wanted to just, go over the poor forgotten about back muscles, because abs get all the attention, but they don't do enough, they're there for decoration.
I saw a reel the other week of a girl, and she was like getting ready for her race, and she's like, your core's not ready. And she like got makeup, and she just like gave herself some shadowing on her core. She's like, it's all good. She just painted on her abs because they weren't ready, but she wanted to look good. I have to find it.
Oh my gosh, I am going to do that at my next race.
Just paint them on. Bit of what do you like? Contouring on your abs?
Contouring.
No, but I think that's really great. Like, they're just exercises that you can do from home.
Yeah. Simple,
And if you don't
effective.
have a band, it doesn't matter. You can still do them, right?
Do them without a band. Exactly. Yeah.
And
can
if you were
totally
to
just
do them with a band, would you start with like an easier resistance, or like is there a resistance that you should be using?
I would, and look, I said the like 3 sets of them. If you do experience a bit of back pain, first of all, be careful because these are extension based. So if anyone has
Mm.
like an extension based back injury, obviously don't do them. But if you don't, and you're just like, say you and I, where you do go, oh yeah, I do feel my back, you probably won't want to do them the day before a long run because you're going to
Yeah.
pre-fatigue it. Okay. And maybe start with 2 sets of each of those
Yeah.
exercises, see how you feel, do that the first couple of weeks, then go up to 3 sets, then add the band.
Mhm.
So because it is a new load and it's still quite a bit of load through the back, you know,
Yeah.
they're easy exercises. So everyone's going to be a little bit different, but your point is you have to overload your body for it to adapt. I see so many people just do kind of some basic sort of general exercises and they're giving up the time to do exercises but not
And
getting the
then
stimulus from it. And it's like you actually legitimately would be better off not because you're just wasting time and energy. So you do want meaningful changes to happen. And they're just 2 really good ways to do it. But I think after this, you're definitely going to record yourself doing them and then I'll put
Oh,
up
I
what they
am. I'm going to get
actually
my
are.
tripod out and everything. Matt will come home
Good.
from his run and he'll see me on the floor and he'll be like, "What are you doing?"
Like, what's happening?
I'll be like, "Kate told me these are going to like take me to that next level."
And then for next week, when we go, what did you see in the gym? I'll be like, I saw Rochelle trying to whack her back.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. Oh, well, should we recap on what we've talked about today? So, we spoke about the first 20 minutes post race, the emotions that are really raw in that 20 minutes. So, let's recap on that. And if you have any experiences yourself, please share them with us. Even just like send us a little personal message on our runversation.pod page. And Kate also shared with us her back tricks.
Yes, and we should do like an overlap of music with back streets back. No. Good
I think
one.
your voice is just enough.
Yeah, that was just fine in itself, really. But yes,
Oh,
let's not forget about arguably for runners the more important part of the course. So work your back, everybody. Yes, and it will not only injury prevention, but your running economy will thank you for it. You'll feel better in the back end of races. So yes,
yeah,
definitely don't forget about that.
definitely. Well, let's keep the runversation going.
PR Run is holding a 12-week Bustleton Bay training course starting November 17, proudly supported by Tour New Vision. And stay tuned. Tickets will soon be available for our Shakeout Run, brought to you by Runversation, the Distance Doctor, and PR Run's head coach Rochelle. We can't wait to see you out there.